Welcome to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. We believe life is about how we react. Welcome back to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. Sean, I have to admit that lately I've been feeling the COVID despair a little more.
Again?
Just because of all the news reports of the cases are going up and stuff. And, I think that's weighing on me lately. I don't know. I just got to get that off my chest. I guess
that's how you want to start the episode. And I am sorry that you're feeling that despair. But I can relate. Things are, at least I've had the experience lately, things are starting to get canceled again.
I know, yeah.
Pushed back or whatever.
And then also, we have a really awesome topic today, I think. And for me, it was a little bit heavy just because it was really self-examination.
A little bit.
I wish I'd started with something other than, COVID, but...
We started this little top picks for season 6. So, top listen while you're working out, whether that be on your rower or on your bike or at the gym. So, what is your top or go-to music or whatever it may be?
When I was training for Race Across America... I would ride my stationary trainer inside for half an hour every day, and then I would ride outdoors for an hour every day, just to be consistent, right? Like nothing huge. And when I was riding my indoor trainer, I would listen to Sum 41, Half Hour of Power.
Wow.
Because it was like the exact right timing for my indoor workout. It's like 32 minutes, and I would listen to it like every single day. So
is it a full 32 minutes, or is it like 3-minute tracks, or is it nonstop for 30 minutes?
Oh no! It's like there's a bunch of different 3-minute tracks, but the whole album. Because, see, this is back when, albums used to be a thing. I don't really think that's a thing anymore, It's all, single songs and stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think I listened to it, on an actual CD. but I listened to the whole album.
But be honest, you had a Discman at one point in life, didn't you?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I had a Discman with 35-second skip protection, dude.
Yeah.
It
How about a Walkman? Did you have a Walkman?
Oh, absolutely. My first album actually was Weezer, and it was on a tape. No, it was Green Day, and it was on a tape, yeah.
Well, since we're going back that far, your first album, I remember my very first... purchase on my own. It was a single, what do you call it? Yeah, a single, like a cassette player, but it just had one song, right? La Bouche, Be My Lover.
Thank you for admitting that. That
I think
hilarious.
I was maybe 15 or something. Anyway, it just had an awesome little... jam. It was just techno sort of club music, and it was my song.
Awesome! Wow. And is that your top workout?
No. I'm surprised I even remembered the name of the song. I've never forgotten La Bouche, the artist. Anyway, my go-to now. Of course, every now and then it'll be a podcast or a book if I'm focused on a book.
Right.
But if I just want to sort of numb out and just get some inspiring music or motivating music, my go-tos are film score or the soundtrack. No lyrics, just soundtrack to high energy, triumphant type scenes. So think, Marvel or Batman, like when they win, or one of my favorite film scores is actually, I forget the name of the movie, but maybe it was called 9/11. It was a film after and centered around that incident or attack.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage was in it. He was a fireman.
Okay.
I forget the name, but that film score is good.
So when you're listening to the film scores, are you like remembering what was going on in the movie at the time?
Not really. No, most of the scores, I've never seen the movie, or I just don't remember the movie. It's the feeling of triumph and the idea that I can do whatever I want. Sky's the limit. So it's that hair raising kind of push, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel like those composers or songs, or I don't know what you call them, I feel like that music really builds. And that's what you're doing when you're working out. You're building towards something, right? Yeah. Like you're working out so you can be able to do something else. Yeah. The purpose is not to row a fake boat for forever,
That's funny. So there it is. I gotta say, Kyle, we got, I think, a really good one here. And it is going to be kind of heavy, but incredibly personal, which is why it's probably, in my opinion, going to be a good one. As our listeners know, I write a column on Friedrich's Ataxia News, part of the Bio News family. And my column comes out typically every other week or twice a month. And every now and then, I'll read some other columns, or I'll sit down and not really have a topic in mind, and so I'll just start flipping through the internet or reading some other posts by fellow FAers to find some inspiration. And I did this a few weeks ago. And one of a fellow columnist is Kendall Harvey. And I'm pretty sure I've never met her. I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of meeting her, but I've obviously followed a little bit of her writing, and I've read several of her columns, and I've even linked her in mind. Today, I wanted to start this conversation by throwing out a thank you and a shout out to Kendall Harvey, because she published a column on July 15th. We'll be sure to link it in our show notes. Her column was titled, "A Letter to My Newly Diagnosed Self." Kendall was diagnosed in 2013. And of course, today is 2021, so she wrote a letter going back 8 years to that moment and that season, and just helping her younger Kendall walk through some of the things that she was about to walk through. And I've done this sort of exercise before, way back when my marriage came to an end, and when I started wrestling out loud with my sexuality, but all kinds of dramatic changes in my life. So I've done similar exercises, but I've never done a letter or written a letter specifically addressing diagnosis or FA. So Kendall, I think, just inspired a great idea, and I'm really thankful that she published that. So, have you met her?
Yeah.
Do you know her?
Yeah, she is just the best. Her full family is really incredible. Her husband
Did you say full family as opposed to her half family?
No, whole family. Like her mom and her dad and her kids and just everyone. Her husband, he's got a really cool name, and he is awesome. And so, yeah,
what's his
they're
name?
The best. His name is Kyle.
Oh, God. I was like... okay. I enjoy her columns and following her in that way. And she inspired today's topic, which is a letter Kyle and I wrote letters to our newly diagnosed selves, and we have not read these letters or shared them with each other.
Yeah, and Sean, who goes first? I really don't want to go first. Yeah. I'm going to hear you.
We did not talk about a plan, which is how we ended up talking about LaBouche. But you know what, Kyle? I am okay with going first. So let me pull up that letter. Okay, and before I begin, this is the part where I think it'd be really cool if some soft film score kind of music came in and, we entertained our listener as we read our letters.
Maybe we can see what we can do.
Maybe we'll come up with something in post. Here we go. Dear newly diagnosed Sean. So, 2007. It's hard to believe, isn't it? I mean, besides feeling tired all the time and a little clumsy, it doesn't seem that you have the disease described by the doctor. Thankfully, this might possibly be the best scenario for you. Your perspective and your attitude toward this devastating news is ripe with optimism, since it's hard to see the full impact of Friedreich's ataxia. It may feel out of reach and out of sight, but your diagnosis is real and true. Although it will stave off for a while longer, you will begin to see the impact of this disease, and, fair warning, many things will sneak up on you. I'm sorry you are living with this, and will have to navigate many challenges and nuances that come with rare disease and disability. Your life will change. Many things you can do today will be hard for you to do or become obsolete altogether. However, this doesn't mean you can give up, and it most certainly isn't to be used as an excuse for squeaking by. Your life will be different than you've always imagined, but you still have so much life to live and so much life to give to those around you. Don't be discouraged by the constant feeling of exhaustion. Don't fret over the spilled drinks or the things you knock over and break. When you stumble and hurt yourself or even break bones, remember that you're still alive and there's work to be done. Don't worry about posture, disturbed gait, staggered movement, or sloppy and painful handwriting. When people stare or accuse you of being drunk, or cause you to feel less than or out of place, give them something to talk about for days to come. You'll be more famous than you ever imagined. Don't let your mumbled or slurred speech keep you from using your voice to influence the people around you. Don't overthink the hospital visits, blood draws, poking and prodding, or the pegboard. Those things are annoying, especially the pegboard, but all of it will inform research that has the potential to improve your life and generations after you. And all the other nuisances, well, they will simply offer you opportunities to see what you're made of and create an identity that is unmistakably strong and unwavering. After all, in most cases, your frustration and embarrassment will arise because of how you compare yourself to others. Your energy will be better spent elsewhere. Trust me, you're unlike anybody else. Your grit will grow, and tenacity will be your greatest asset. You may not be as smart, or as creative, or as talented, or as fast, or as skilled, or as stable, or as strong as others, but you will never give up, and you will never settle. Those are the qualities that you will learn to nurture and share. These are the qualities that others will admire. You're surrounded by good people and always will be. Your circles of influence will change and grow over time, but you will always be surrounded by people that love you, that want to support you, that want to help you, and most importantly, people that believe in you. It's okay to say no and put your health and safety first. It's okay to take naps. It's okay that you aren't a morning person. It's okay that others will think they're better than you because of these silly characteristics, but again, you have no reason to compare yourself. Be gracious with yourself. This disease and the journey that you are beginning will morph over the years, but it's the progression and the many changes that will help you understand the world around you a little better. What you've been told since childhood is true. You can do whatever you put your mind to. Your family will support you, and you can build the future you want. You are not limited. Your physical abilities will change, but the future is yours. Create what you want. And remember, there will always be a reason to get out of bed. Sincerely, 40-year-old virgin. 40-year-old Sean.
Oh, man. How do you feel having read that?
It's emotional. You know, one of the things that was challenging for me as I wrote this is staying focused on the disease, staying focused on FA. Mm-hmm. As you and many of our listeners know, although FA is constant and daily, to me it's also not the biggest impact on my life. There have been other things that I would put above this one. And so, staying focused on FA is one thing, but thinking about the other challenges I've walked through, that was hard. So when I read the letter, in the background of my mind, I'm thinking about the other dramatic changes or hurdles that have unfolded in my life. And I think one of the things that gets me in the heart the strongest is toward the end there, when I talk about my family supporting me and believing in me. Of course, I think about my dad. I can remember specific conversations, at least two, where he reminded me that I could do whatever I want. And not having him actively involved today, that's more heart-wrenching than, falling and breaking my femur, or anything else related to FA.
Absolutely.
But overall, it's freeing and healing in a way, and I love this type of exercise, as emotional as it is, and as that kind of puts us in a place of I don't even know if I'd call it sadness. Maybe it is, but this emotional moment.
I feel like it's more vulnerability than sadness.
Oh, for sure. There's power in just sitting with it and realizing, A, how hard things are, but B, how amazing life is, and how bright the future can be despite those hard things. I'm a big fan of these types of exercises. I don't know that I could do it every week.
Right.
But I would encourage, I think everybody can or should. You know, what would you tell your 16-year-old self or your single self or your college senior year self? You know, we can all write a letter to a younger version of ourselves or even an older version of ourselves and help pave the path that you envisioned or that you hope for.
I love the fact that you say there's power in sitting with it. I'm not going to pretend that I've gone through things that are as tough as what you've gone through. I also think that it's not an entirely productive thing to compare hardships. But, you know, I think that in my life, I think all of us to a certain extent, we're trying to decrease the pain or uncomfortableness. You know, if the pain is emotional. And what you find, though, is when you sit with that pain and you get to a point where you're like, I don't think I can handle this anymore. And then you get through it, you know, 10 minutes later, 2 weeks later, whatever it is. Yeah. And you're like, wow, I didn't die. I'm still here. That really, really sucked, but life is going to move on. And I just love that, you know, I really believe that there's true power in that.
Your turn.
Dear 17-year-old Kyle, I know you may have seen the prognosis online, and there's no avoiding the truth. Friedreich's ataxia is going to ravage your body and mess with your mind. Your perception of yourself and how you think others see you is going to change. Within 10 years, you'll struggle with needing a wheelchair and all that comes with it. You will feel limited with your career choices because of what others might think your capabilities are. You will often wonder if you're holding your family or friends back because you are a liability or a drag on the adventure. You will question your ability to have a committed relationship because of your limitations. You will consider for a moment just writing out your time on Earth, because according to some people, there's nothing you can do about it. These are the things that will go through your mind. Do not ignore these thoughts, but you must find a way to move beyond them, because life is not over. It will be different, no doubt, but perhaps even more exciting and fulfilling if you let it. I know you prefer to ignore the fact that your life is going to be much different than you would imagined it would be, but I encourage you to start checking this out so you can take it head on. Learn as much about it as you can, because that knowledge will serve you down the road. Learn the science so you can work as hard as you can for a treatment and a cure, but you must also be willing to give 100% to the day-to-day aspect of living with FA. Embrace the relationships with the people you meet in the Friedreich's ataxia community and the rare disability community. These will be the people that show you how to thrive with this disease. Observe the way they do things. the way they carry themselves, the way they are treated by others, and the way they treat themselves. As you observe, implement the things that you like and ignore the things you don't. Trust yourself. You are capable of amazing things. You know this. Your mom tells you so. But I'm sending you this letter to confirm the fact. You will learn to love yourself and appreciate the aspects that FA introduces to your life. You will learn to demonstrate strength to your friends and family. You will find a fulfilling career and loving personal relationships. But you will need to work for it. See you in a few years. Kyle. Man, I knew that wasn't going to be easy to get through, but I'm glad I did.
What's going through your head?
I'm pretty amazed at how very similar our letters are. There are a few themes in there that stick out that are basically exactly the same. Like when you said, that your family told you you could do anything you want to do. That's basically what I was saying about my mom, and my totally. Dad and my brother are no different than that. And the fact that things are going to be different, but not necessarily terrible, I think is a major theme that connects both of our letters as well.
Something that stuck out to me, well, two things really. When you wrote about all the hardships or the symptoms, and you said, do not ignore these thoughts, or the thoughts of wrestling with the wheelchair. I forget exactly what you're referring to, but you said, don't ignore these thoughts. And I loved how you encouraged younger Kyle to wrestle with them, to not ignore them, but to think about them and to work through the hardships that come, the emotional and mental hardships that come with those types of changes and challenges.
Yeah, there was a conversation we had a couple episodes ago that we said, it builds up over time. The little frustrations and all the little things build up over time. Well, that's the same with all this stuff, right? If you don't deal with it, it's going to come out in a very unpleasant way. And so just an encouragement, because I certainly haven't been very good at that in my life, and recognizing now that it's an incredibly valuable thing.
I also loved how you encourage yourself to check it out and take it head on. In other words, dig in and take control. Don't let it define you or dictate how you live your life. At least that's how I interpret that.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like when we try to approach that, there's a tendency to ignore it and be like, no, I can handle this. Like, it's no big deal. And that does not address the issue at all. It's not going to go away just because you don't address it. Yep. And I think that there's a lot of power, as you say, in taking it head on and really digging in.
Yeah, that was good. Were you able to sit down and write that in one sitting? Or did you have to work on it?
I wrote most of it in one sitting. It was a long sitting as I would write a few sentences and then think for a while.
Yeah, that was my next question. Did you wrestle with the emotion even by yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah, big time. I mean, there was a small puddle of tears on my kitchen table. And, you know, I would write things, right? Just like any writing assignment, right? You write it and then erase it and be like, that's not really what I think. Like, I can use more accurate words or whatever. And, you know, I think that's the value of an exercise like this. Like, you get to actually figure out what exactly you think, because you have to, it's black and white. You have to choose the exact words that fit what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and even though we're recording it and putting it out there for the world, the word choice is so important. And not just for that, the you know, quote unquote entertainment side of it, but for ourselves. Yeah. And you know, I didn't get super granular, but I wanted specifically to use the word nap. I hate naps. I don't take them. They throw me off my game. But a lot of us need them. And even though you think a kid or a child, there's nothing wrong if you need to take a nap.
Right.
And being a morning person, you know, a lot of people, I was at the gym at 5 a.m. and they kind of, you know, they're very proud of that. I'm like, I don't wake up till 10 on my day off. Like, I don't even care to try to be a morning person. So I wanted to hit on a couple of those specifics. Yeah. And even though they seem petty, they're kind of a big deal.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that you say, like, don't try to resist the nap, for example. But obviously, I think that can apply to a lot of different things. Like,
totally,
we try to resist things that we need because we want to be able to fit in or even fit into our own principles. I think principles sometimes can be a little bit tricky because, you know, when you state it, even just to yourself, then you really have to stick to it. Like, I am not a nap person. I hate naps. I'm never going to do naps. And then you really need one. Now what? Right?
Yeah.
So
I think you make a good point there. When you put it in writing or you say it out loud, you're, in a sense, you're making it real. So, like, going back to a few months ago where I said you can't just ignore it. It's not going to go away just because you don't think about it. It's a whole nother world, I think, or a whole nother level of playing this game of life when you put words to it or thoughts to it.
Yeah, I agree. So, as you were writing this, did you think about the aspect of speaking it and recording it and sending it out to the universe? Because, like you said before, you know, you alluded to the fact that, like, part of this, is for our listeners, but a big part of it is for you. Like, does that change what you say when you think about those two aspects?
I would say yes. I certainly thought about it. Of course, writing it, knowing we're going to turn the mic on.
Yeah.
But I don't know that my words would be any different if I were just writing this in my personal journal. You know, I can't say
right
for a fact they wouldn't be, but I feel pretty confident that this is the authentic version, whether it's private or public.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that for myself too.
I suppose I may have used a cuss word here and there if it were 100% private, but what an exercise. It doesn't change life, so to speak. You know, I'm still going to want a nap later, and I'm still going to be tired, and I'm still going to stumble and drop things. But I think doing something like this every now and then is ultimately encouraging. It reminds you of the way you believe in yourself.
Yep.
Which is probably more powerful than somebody else telling you.
Yeah.
You can do it, you know.
Yep.
And I also am curious. What would my letter sound like if I had a wife and kids? or if I had kids, what would my letter sound like at 6 years old or 10 years ago?
Yeah. I was thinking, what would this letter sound like last week for me? Like, I'm in a different mindset. I really am in a different mindset this week. I mean, we all are, right? Like, emotions and things in your life just change. So maybe it's a good thing to do it occasionally, right? And just use it as kind of a check-in with yourself.
So with that, I want to encourage you, the listener, to think about this. Whether it's writing a letter about your diagnosis or about your failed marriage or that, that financial thing that went sour or whatever. Like pick a milestone in your life and address that version of you. And in a sense, encourage yourself to keep moving forward and being the incredible human that you are, whatever the issue. Kyle, we should probably wrap it up. Like always, we want to do so with some notes of gratitude. Kyle and I believe that expressing gratitude helps keep our minds and our attitudes in a healthier place. So this episode, I'm actually going to say thank you to Kendall for writing the column, but also for being a part of the Friedreich's ataxia news columnist division. I'm also saying thank you to Friedreich's ataxia news and the overall Bio News organization. They've helped create quite a community of all types of disease and disability walks of life, and I'm honored to be able to write with them or for them and be connected to that community.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful to have that column from Kendall or from Sean or Matt or whoever it is, and they provide that service. So yes, I agree. Thank you.
And going back to much earlier conversations, right, when we both talked about writing a thank you notes every week or writing a blog, and it's just hard. Well, now with some accountability with an organization like Bio News, I think I've only missed 2 out of 3 or 4 years. So, or 2, I think 3. So, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be writing.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that there's that extra layer of pressure or accountability, if you like a healthy pressure.
Yep.
Anyway.
All right. My thank you note goes out to my friend Alex Fielding. Well,
he's my friend.
He's not your friend, though.
Let's back up a little bit. Hold on. My best friend, Alex Fielding.
Who hates Sean? Just kidding.
Probably.
No, I want to thank our friend, Alex Fielding. I know you've stayed at his house before. I stayed at his house when I was in town a few weeks ago. I'm going to see him at another friend's wedding in a few weeks, and I just talked to him a little before this, and he's just a solid friend and we take care of each other, I feel like, and I can always call him, and when we hang out, it's like no time has passed, right? Anyway.
He's a solid dude.
Thank you for the friendship, Alex.
Thank you, listeners, for tagging along and for playing this whole thing through. Again, we want to encourage you to think about an exercise either in this manner or similarly and experience the, raw emotion and vulnerability and the power, everything that comes with it. We're grateful that you listened today. Please check out the show notes. We'll link Kendall's column, so be sure to visit that. If you're loving the show, we hope that you keep reviewing us. Do it again if it's been a couple years. On iTunes, give us those stars and tell the world what you're loving. Share it with the others, please. We appreciate every share and every review. We look forward to chatting with you again soon. Until next time.
Keep living with urgency. Thank you for listening to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. This show is possible with your support. Visit twodisableddudes.com to donate.
Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app.